Council to order. Diane, please read opening statement.
This meeting is being held in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice has been provided in the manner prescribed by law. This agenda is complete to the extent known, and formal action will be taken. I'll begin with a roll call. Councilman Fisher?
Here.
Councilman Nadell?
Here.
Councilwoman O'Donnell is absent at the moment. Deputy Mayor Gager?
Here.
Mayor Leggio?
Here.
Thank you.
Mayor Ledger, may I have a moment?
Yes.
In light of the news that our township manager has accepted employment in another town, has already been sworn in, and for the sake of continuity in our own town and our business here, I'd like to make a motion for Mr. Clark to be put on paid administrative leave retroactively to June 21st through July 10th, with the understanding that he will make himself available via telephone for any questions that we might have during this transition, and that he will provide us with a list of open projects and ongoing issues in our town by the end of the day tomorrow.
I'm sorry, before you proceed, I do want to bring up a procedural issue. One is that in order to take action on an employment matter, either it has to be listed on the agenda, and I'm sorry, I'm not fully familiar with the agenda. Is this matter on the agenda?
It's not on the agenda. I'm doing this in public.
I'm going to second that motion.
Thank you.
I strongly suggest that we discuss this matter in executive session prior to taking any action. That is really said for the protection of the people on the dais and for the township. There are legal considerations here that I think you need to be apprised of. I would certainly prefer to do that in executive session than to do it out here.
I'm going to ask for a vote.
No further discussion. I'll begin with a roll call. Councilman Fisher?
Yes.
Here's
Count-
Evelyn.
Where?
I'm sorry, I do just, I think it's really appropriate to say something to you. Mr. Clark has in fact done that. You certainly can make that request that he not be here, but he is, in addition to taking a job in another town, he has also taken other actions of which I know this council and governing body is aware. Because of those actions, there are legal consequences that may flow from taking this action, and I just ask that you consider that. And I will stop talking, but it's important that you understand that because of those other aspects, you are taking an action that may increase some of the concerns and risks to the governing body and its individual members, as well as the township as a whole.
Shall I continue with a roll call?
Please.
Councilman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell is now present, and
I'm unaware of even what you're speaking of, so.
Sue made a motion for Joe to go on administrative leave, paid administrative leave, but be available to us if we need him by telephone, starting now.
Well, my question would be, he's still under contract for a certain date, so
He's-
why would we need another resolution?
Because he's accepted employment and he's already been sworn in. And I think for the continuity of what we need to do, it is in our best interest to move on as quickly as possible.
Well, I would agree with the concept. My understanding was that he was sworn in, but his contract at the next location has not begun yet, and his contract with us is still in effect. Is that not correct?
The point of order discussion has been closed already.
Well, then I can't vote, because I can't vote on something I can't discuss.
thank you. Deputy Mayor Gager?
No.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The resolution is adopted.
At this point, I'd like to also make a motion for the governing body to appoint our township clerk as acting manager effective immediately until an interim can be selected. Provided she agrees, we can come to an agreement with Mrs. Festino on additional compensation for the time she will serve in this position.
I'll second that motion.
I just want to note my continuing advice, the governing body not take these employment actions without having the opportunity to be briefed in executive session regarding the consequences of that. In this matter, you've put Mr. Clark on administrative leave, but asked that he still be available, so is that?
Paid administrative leave.
Understood. So, if you're putting then Ms. Festino as the interim, then what, well, anyway.
Acting. This is a
Right.
big town, and we have a lot of business to take care of.
I understood.
know.
I definitely understand, and I think that there are a lot of actions and things that the governing body needs to consider. I just really wish that you would take advice from legal counsel before you take these specific actions.
I made a motion.
I'll begin with the
I
roll.
seconded.
Thank you. Councilman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
No.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
No.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The resolution passes. I accept. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we going into executive session?
Please. Yes. So, I mean, I don't know, do you want me to do the motion? Motion,
It needs to be a motion to go into executive session at this point.
Motion to go into executive session 25-205.
Make a motion.
and that is for, as is, I believe is listed on the agenda, but I think it's important to make it on the record, it's contractual matters, anticipated litigation, as well as personnel matters.
Thank you.
Second.
Is there a second? Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Roll call?
Councilwoman Fisher?
Here.
Councilman Nadell?
Here.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Here.
Mayor Leggio?
Here.
Thank you.
Please stand for Pledge of Allegiance and moment of prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of the nation. Hey. May I have a motion for acceptance of minutes?
Motion to accept June 10th, 2025.
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you.
We, before we move forward, our attorney, Mr. John Glynn, would just like to explain to everyone in this room and to the public watching on TV for future reference, what the Faulkner Act means in our form of government here in Howell Township. The last 3 weeks have been quite interesting, to say the least, and our form of government here, as he's going to explain, who's in charge, who makes the decisions, and who sets policy. So, moving forward with all the Facebook warriors and all the negative comments and the inflammatory stuff that goes online on a daily basis, just remember who runs the town. It's not the mayor, it's not any one of us sitting up here. All we do is set policy. And being attacked personally, okay, my wife being attacked, my son's being attacked, is completely unacceptable. And I can speak for anyone up here as far as if you're attacking any family members. And I'm not saying anyone in this room has done it, okay? But it has been done. And I don't appreciate it, guys. I've been here for 6 months. It's a learning curve, and I've learned a lot in the 6 months I've been here on how much doesn't get done. Mr. Glenn, please explain.
So under the Faulkner Act council manager form of government that Howell operates under, there is a township council that is responsible with appointing a township clerk as well as a township manager. Executive authority for the township and its operations of the various departments within it stems and flows entirely through the township manager. The township council is able to set policy. It's given the power to appoint the township manager. It also has the ability to remove the township manager. But in terms of the day-to-day operations of the township manager is the office through which executive authority flows. So in general, that is a description of how Howell's form of government operates.
That's it. All right, we'll move on to the presentation of Tobacco Free for Healthy New Jersey, Sustainable Jersey Tobacco Free Communities Designation Award, Howell Township's Green Team, and Howell Alliance.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Andrea Zapsik. I'm the Prevention Director for the New Jersey Prevention Network. We're a statewide nonprofit that is grant-funded by the New Jersey Department of Health to support the Tobacco Free for a Healthy New Jersey initiative. In the year that I was born, 1957, almost half of every adult in the United States was a cigarette smoker, including my own two parents. Since that time, through the collaborative efforts of public health and policymakers at the state, federal, and local level, such as yourselves, that number today hovers around 11%. In my field of prevention, I've known Krista for years, working in the field of substance use prevention. Those numbers are hard-won, and they take a long time. For reference, I'm 68 years old, so it just goes to show you how long it's taken us to get that number down. And yet, in the United States today, tobacco use remains the leading cause of preventable death, causing almost 500,000 deaths a year from its harmful effects. Policy, systems, and environmental change create a positive roadmap for municipalities to move toward building healthier communities. Tobacco Free for a Healthy New Jersey has teamed up with Sustainable Jersey to assist municipalities moving towards a tobacco-free community designation. On behalf of the New Jersey Prevention Network and Tobacco Free for a Healthy New Jersey, I would like to present this plaque and to congratulate Howell Township for receiving 15 Sustainable Jersey points and being awarded their tobacco-free community designation. Howell Township is now the 10th municipality in New Jersey to achieve this by providing education and cessation resources to its residents and adopting a strong ordinance regarding smoking in public places that goes beyond state law. Thank you. Krista? Thank you for your time.
Good. Reports from department officials. Mr. Howard?
I have no updates tonight.
Mr. Glenn?
I've been assisting with the search for a new township manager that's been ongoing, and preparing a number of the resolutions and ordinances that are on tonight.
Mrs. Cipriani? No?
I've been providing labor council services, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
We're on to hearing of citizens and public comment, consent agenda items and general matters.
Each person shall first give their name and address to the clerk. The council should be addressed as a collective body and not as individual members. Each person shall have one turn to address the council, and comments shall not exceed a total of 5 minutes. Speakers shall be notified when their time has run, and no time extension shall be permitted.
Paula Samuel Weller?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Town Council, and staff. My name is Paula Samarow. I live in Heritage Point in Howell. First, I just want to say... How about now? Testing, testing. I always wanted to do that. Talk loud. Anyway, first of all, I just wanted to say that I'm sorry that what's happening to the council's members and, members and families. It's not right. Unfortunately, it is a sign of the times, and it is not right, and I'm sorry for that. But I just wanted to say that I first moved to Howell about 45 years ago and moved out and back 3 times. And I guess you can say that the third time was a charm when I finally realized that everything that was needed to raise a family, to work, and eventually retire was right here in Howell. But the most important element was the sense of safety I felt for my family and myself, which I believe was not only due to the Howell PD, but due to an earned trust in Howell's government officials over the years. Sadly, that trust seems to have been breached, along with the realization that a safe and secure feeling is no longer there. While I commend the town council for acknowledging the serious problem arising out of this rampant rental situation and updating the rental ordinances to address these problems, I can't help but feel that there may exist a lack of enforcement. This lack of enforcement is creating a lack of compliance among many of these investors and perhaps some non-investors. Howell Township Code Enforcement used to be known as the strictest code enforcement department in the state. Years ago, when having work performed on my home or even putting up a small shed, when a contractor asked where I lived and I said Howell, they would say, "Oh boy, they're tough." But I didn't mind it because it reinforced my trust that the council was performing their due diligence and ensuring that all work performed on houses and buildings would be up to code. It allayed any fears that faulty construction, wiring, fire hazards, etc., would be found and prevent loss of property or, worse yet, loss of life. These investors charge such a high rental fee that in order to make a profit on their investment, which is often cash, they rent the house to multiple families or numerous unrelated people. Unfortunately, many of these investors, they're not good landlords, and they don't contribute to the community. They bring property values down because maintenance is non-existent, and homes are renovated to accommodate as many people as they need to fit in one household. And I have to ask, are they applying for permits? Are they using licensed contractors? All too often, I see trucks parked outside houses without any type of identification written on them. Sometimes the work is performed in the dead of night after hours. No permits are posted in the windows. Why is that? I'm told this is an acceptable practice now. Years ago, you were told to post that yellow permit in your window so it was, visible to the road. I've seen digging in the ground, garage floors being dug up, no flags being marked for gas lines or electric lines or water lines. Is code enforcement seeing this? Recently, I was exposed to what I felt was a form of intimidation when I had to ask a person that lived in one of the rentals to please move their car, which was parked in the middle of the street, directly behind my driveway so that I could get out. There seemed to be a language barrier, and after several attempts at conversation, I finally pointed and said, "Go, move your car." He moved his car, but returned a few minutes later with 3 other young men in his car that parked directly in front of my house and were staring at me. I just went inside my house and ended up not even running my errands. Now, not only am I being faced with worrying about spreading house fires, gas lines exploding, water mains breaking, but now I'm worrying about my own personal safety and possible retribution because I asked a neighbor to move their car. This is unacceptable. Perhaps a solution would be for Howell officials to work towards passing legislation like Governor Hochul of New York.
Homes must be on the market for 90 days before an investor can make an offer, giving young families and individuals the chance at home ownership. I look forward to once again developing the trust that I had previously had in the town council, as well as feeling safe in my community once again. I fear if this is not accomplished, I will have to move out of Howell once again, like so many others are doing, only this time, I won't be moving back. Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate it.
Sandra Vieira.
Can everyone hear me? Esteemed, respected.
Excuse me, your name and address for the record?
My name is Sandra Vieira, and I live on Hialeah Court.
Thank you.
Esteemed, respected, and greatly appreciated leaders of Howell, do we not live in the best town around? Howell is remarkable on so many levels, and all of us came from different journeys to lead here. I, however, have concerns as a Howell resident. I will begin with objective appeals. I will fight fairly. I will consider all sides. Shall we begin? You see, my concerns have to do with our public school system, with the safety of our neighborhoods, as well as the integration of our neighborhoods. Please develop and enforce laws which will maintain and preserve the public school system with drastic decreases in enrollment. Your job is not to protect one particular group, but in my opinion, instead, the public services and the public school system. As a concerned resident, I am against LLCs purchasing homes. Furthermore, I am against LLCs renting to illegal residents, number one, and number two, overpopulating these rentals. I brought these issues up previously at a meeting, as many of us have. That which we wanted to prevent in our town has occurred, a major crime. Please develop and enforce laws which resolve this, prevent this matter from increasingly worsening. Please involve the judiciary system in matters that are out of your power. As a concerned resident, please develop and enforce laws that preserve neighborhoods. Structures erected on our properties that we do not consent to and are completely unaware of. We, in fact, refuse them. We are approached face to face and we say, no, you can't put that there. Structures are still erected after we say no, and we are very unaware of all of this. I repeat, as a concerned resident, please develop and enforce laws that preserve the public neighborhoods and the public, that honor the community climate. Please involve the judiciary system in matters that are out of your power. As a concerned resident, I see an increase of lawsuits against Howell in the news. Who would sue their own town? I am noticing fines being repeatedly paid with minimal intent to follow the actual written law. This is a major concern. I request that you as leaders of this town develop and enforce laws that attend to this matter. Please involve the judiciary system in matters that are out of your power. Our goal as a community is to preserve Howell, the public schools, the neighborhoods, and the willingness of the community as the whole to obey the written law. Howell, New Jersey, as a concerned citizen, please develop and enforce laws that maintain and preserve the public school system. Develop and enforce laws that remove Howell from the LLC renting pool and shift Howell back to a neighborhood and all that that entails. Please involve the judiciary system for all that is out of your hands. Signed, a concerned citizen.
Now, Mr. Interdeep Kaur. Mrs., I'm sorry.
Inderdeep Kaur, 3 Reuben Court. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and members of the community. My name is Inderdeep Kaur, and I'm a long-term resident of Reuben Court in Howell. First, I want to sincerely thank each one of you for your continued service to our township. We know the work that you do is not easy, and we genuinely appreciate your leadership and commitment to our community. I'm here this evening to speak about a deep concern that my neighbors and I share as a resident of Reuben Court, a concern that affects not just individual households, but the sense of trust, safety, and stability we have all worked hard to build in our community. Recently, without any notice or communication, a sober home was opened at 4 Reuben Court, right in the center of our quiet residential cul-de-sac. The way this was introduced has left many of us confused, frustrated, and above all, deeply unsettled. Our street is a close-knit, peaceful neighborhood where homes are spaced just 15 to 20 feet apart. We are a community of law-abiding residents and who have invested significantly in our homes, raised our families here, and pay some of the highest property taxes in the area. We take pride in our civic contribution. We vote, we participate, and we follow the rules. We love where we live, and we have built our lives here with a sense of safety and trust. So when this facility appeared without any formal notice, documentation, or community communication, it deeply alarmed us. We immediately sought answers, and we were told by township officials that no license has been issued yet for this facility. It is still under review. In response, several of us personally visited and spoke with the township representatives multiple times. But despite these efforts, we have not received any formal documentation, written updates, or clarification on how this aligns with township ordinance regarding zoning and group facilities. At this point, the township directed us to contact the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, especially the Bureau of Rooming and Boarding House Standards. When we did, we were told that they have no records whatsoever of a licensed facility at 4 Reuben Court. The state then referred us back to the township, confirming that license and oversight fall entirely under their local authority. We also want to note this is now the third such facility within 1,000 feet of our homes. For a small street like ours, that is a substantial concentration, and it raises a real question about zoning balance and residential integrity. Let me be clear. This is not about judgment or exclusion. We support recovery and rehabilitation, but the support must come with proper regulation, transparency, and fairness, all of which seems to be missing in this case. Our concern go beyond zoning. With the recent spike in crime in Howell, our sense of safety is already strained. The presence of such unregulated group home, especially those operating without any clear approval, only adds to that anxiety. As homeowners and contributing members to this community, we feel overlooked and honestly vulnerable. We have done everything we are supposed to do. We follow the law, we pay our taxes, we engage with township process, but in return, we're still waiting for our answers. We respectfully request the following from the council: a full investigation into how this facility at 4 Reuben Court began operating without a valid license or a proper community notification. We ask the township to verify the current status of the application, determine whether any operations are in violation of zoning or licensing laws or township ordinance, and hold responsible any parties who have bypassed required steps. A temporary pause on any further licensing decisions for this property until the matter is thoroughly reviewed and community concerns are formally addressed. A broader discussion about zoning policy and facility density, especially in residential pockets like ours, so other families aren't blindsided like we were. We want to be clear. We are not here in opposition to progress or healing. We are here in support of accountability, safety, and fairness. We are very grateful for your time, your service, and your attention to this matter. We trust that you want what's the best for Howell.
Thank you, Ms. Kapoor. Your
just
time
as we
has
do.
ended.
And we
Your
hope you
time has
will.
ended. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Greg Vodell?
Greg Fodell, Pedal Patch Trail.
Thank you.
Good evening, council. I just wanted to discuss the subject of house rental re-inspections. I believe the current ordinance denotes an annual inspection of a rental property. I believe, based on reading the ordinance section 178-22, there is no provision for an increased rental inspection, even if code enforcement or police is alerted to a possible violation at said property, such as an increase in the number of allowable occupants, unlicensed vehicles parked in the street, noise violations, notice of delivery of multiple beds, and/or construction occurring by the occupants and not the landlord. My suggestion to the council is that once the township is alerted of a concern at that property, re-inspection should occur as often as 3 months until that landlord has changed, and an amended ordinance reflecting that should be adopted. Yes, it appears extreme, but a bad landlord should be subject to more frequent inspections. In addition, those increased inspections should be at all the properties owned by that landlord or LLC. I know there are multiple municipalities in New Jersey, such as Trenton, Montclair, Asbury Park, among others, that require semi-annual inspections once a rental has had inspection issues. I believe that semi-annual is too long a period to wait, especially given the quality of life issues with longtime Howell residents. These days, family dynamics change rapidly, and the township has no guarantees that the rental occupants stay consistent through the years and can change rapidly based on the frequency of occupants moving in and out, which unfortunately are sometimes not denoted to the township as they legally should be. Additionally, I believe the fines outlined in section 178-30, which denotes fines of less than $1,000 and not exceeding $2,000, are outdated based on recent assessments, recent rental monthly rates being charged in the township, and the fact that these amounts are considered, I think, pocket change to some landlords. In order to make an impact on landlords, these rates, I believe, should be increased to at least $10,000 so that they are not ignored and make a landlord complete the improvements. Thank you for your time.
Anna Kay?
Good evening. My name is Anna, Christian's daughter, 11 Mouse Creek Court, Howell. I'd like to begin by thanking the Township Council for their dedication and hard work. These are trying times for us all. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
My analogy on living in Howell during these times and during these polarizing times in our entire country and world are that there is an abundance of diversity here in Howell. Howell residents are very welcoming, very forthcoming, and I'm just very impressed and honored to live amongst these people. It seems to be there is an entity. It's called corporation funding, and it's overpowering us all. The little man doesn't have a voice in that setting. I am also honored to be on the Howell Farmers Advisory Committee, and myself and Betty here, the two of us established the Howell Farmers United. So if all of the residents want to follow us on Howell Farmers United, please do. It advertises our local farms. Back to the topic, basically, with the ordinances, for example, for what Howell had to endure, because of the regulations needed to run a happy, thriving society, Howell farmers fought hard to get acceptance and to be treated equally in a very competitive world and competitive township. We fought our butts off, and we didn't really think it was fair to have to fight, but we did. And I'd like that acknowledged because I want our community, our diverse community of all people, to understand how inviting this community is. To a point, when we start to feel isolated and pushed and threatened by lawsuits and LLCs that hide and distort and turn things upside down and threaten us with endless lawsuits, it has to stop. It has to stop. You know, that's not very neighborly, and it's not acceptable. Thank you.
Mr. Morlino?
Good evening, Steve Morlino, Peachstone Road, going on 40 years. Good evening to the mayor and council. Mayor, I have to say it's disparaging to hear you say that people are actually commenting about your wife and your children. That's absolutely unacceptable. It's disgraceful, and whoever's doing that should be held accountable for it. That's outrageous in this township that someone would go to those means. Okay. That being said, I wanted to talk about several things. One of them was mentioned LLCs. There's a LLC around the corner from me on Hedgewood Drive where there's been a 40-yard dumpster in the driveway of the residents overflowing for the last 3 to 4 weeks. Obviously, the tenants moved out, multiple tenants moved out of that property. I don't know if that's all the debris they left behind or if there's construction going on in that home to convert it into a boarding house or what's going on there. But I think code should look into it. I'm not sure, do we have any kind of ordinance on how long an overflowing dumpster can sit on someone's property, attracting rodents and nuisance, and, you know, it's an attractive nuisance for kids in the neighborhood. And it's a danger to the community. So I'd like to have someone look into that if we have any control over something like that. The other thing I like to talk about is the contractual issues of, I understand that our manager has resigned. And effective Saturday, I think he took a job in another town. So have we put him on administrative leave? I know that's a personnel issue, but I read the contract somewhat. And basically it says that he must give 60 days notice and that this council must give him written permission according to his contract. So my question is, did this council give him in writing permission to accept that job and move on? And what are we doing? And I know you don't answer anything. I think the manager, when he came in, put a gag order on this council that you can't answer questions. And I hope when we engage a new
Mr. Morlino.
Yes.
Mr. Cipriani would like to.
Hi, I'm the Township's Labor Council. So to answer your question, there was action to, I'm sorry? Stop the clock. Oh.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, I'll try and be quick anyway. To answer your question, the council took an action at the beginning of this meeting, and Mr. Clark has been placed on administrative leave. I understand that you have other questions, and I can only tell you, and it's not the council having a gag, it is my recommendation, as it appears that there may be litigation in this matter, not to discuss contractual matters beyond that, because it'll be handled through the litigation setting.
Understood. You can't discuss it. I can. So, basically,
Please pause the applause.
basically, my question is, we're going to be vetting a new manager. I hope we go through a process that's legitimate. that we hire someone who doesn't bring their former law firm in here, their ex-wife's law firm in here, and get the bulk of our outsourced legal counsel work. I don't think there should be anyone on the payroll that has a conflict like that, and that conflict's existed for a long time. And maybe our outside counsel who works for that firm can tell us what that's all about. But again, my concern is going forward, I can't look back, that's over with. Going forward, I hope we vet this thoroughly, and that we look for a qualified manager, okay, and that we don't go through what we went through the last time. We took an attorney who, I won't comment about his legal opinions, but we took an attorney and moved him up to the manager position, okay? I don't think he was qualified to run a town of this size, okay, having no background running towns as a manager. He was an attorney. He was in private practice, then he was an attorney for the township. So again, I hope we vet it properly, we get some qualified people, we don't get political clones in here, okay, from the county recommendation or anybody else, because that's been happening in the past. And I hope we stand up to it and hire someone we feel is vetted, that can do the job with the interest of the people behind me at heart, not some other outside organization, not people taking money from towns outside of Howell Township when they run for office, okay? This is Howell Township. Okay? It's been Howell Township, it's a great community, okay? Mayor, you said you were going to do a lot of things, and I know you're going through a learning curve because we have some strange rules under the Faulkner Act. And I would suggest we consider changing the form of government in this town and get away from this manager council form of government. We had it in the past, and we should look forward to doing it now. And I also would recommend that we not only have 5 representatives, that we increase it. Okay, let's go either by fire districts or divvy this township up. It's big enough to have a ward system and have people representing local people right in their neighborhood instead of people, we've at one time had all people, 3 or 4 people from North Howell on this council. They represented the interests of North Howell, which I understand. However, I think we should spread the wealth. And with that, my time is up. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Mr. Phil Capaccio?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I just had a question.
Excuse me, your name and address for the record?
Name and address, please.
Name and address?
26 Mouse Creek Court, Phil Capaccio. I just had a question on paving in our neighborhood. They've been doing a lot of work lately. They've been doing a lot of work lately because New Jersey American Water was in there. And I know they're going to pave the primary street, Sammy, and whatever else is down there. Is there any plan on doing the secondary streets? They're saying that they got to wait for water main work. How long? Streets ain't been paved in over 35 years. It's the original pavement from the development. It's all settling, coming up in front of everybody's driveway. Is there some kind of plan or schedule?
This will be addressed when we're done with public comment.
So, that's it?
Well, that's how we do it here. I didn't make that rule up.
You have 5 minutes.
You still
Nah,
have-
I only needed a minute.
Yeah, well, when public comment's over, and we go to our professionals, if they have the answer to that question.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me, sir? My big mouth, you can't hear my big mouth? Yeah. When public discussion is over, the professionals will answer, if they have the answer, will answer your question. If they don't have your answer, I will personally reach out to you tomorrow morning with the answer.
Okay. All right, that's
Okay.
acceptable.
That's all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, what do you want me to do? Robert Avalone?
Yes, Mayor, I'm sorry, Reuben Court already spoke for us, so
So
thank
you're good? All right. And we have Richard Krug?
Okay, my name is Richard Krug. I reside at 4 Sammy Drive, Howell, New Jersey. I'm living in that home. 39 years, so I'm the original owner of the home. And I came from all places, Borough Park, Brooklyn. So I'm very familiar with my Orthodox Jewish consistents that are now moving in. I just recently resigned as an official in Middlesex County for the building department over there. So I've been doing this a long time. I worked in Long Branch. I'm familiar with the constituency in Long Branch. We were just informed recently about the Aruv approval. And apparently it was discussed on April 15th at a meeting here, and then it was voted on May 6th. And apparently approved, according to the clerk's office, with no opposition and not even any comments. Unfortunately, I didn't know about either meeting. I didn't even know it was on the agenda for a vote, but now I know about it, and I've had discussions with my neighbors who are Orthodox Jewish people, and they brought me a bottle of bourbon the other day, which I did not accept. I told them I'm not in the practice of accepting gifts because I've been trained over 30 years. It's a conflict of interest, right? That's supposed to be a little funny. But they were thanking me for allowing me to install their Aruv on my property. And I said, well, you can't install it on my property. You could install it in, I had not received a copy of the ordinance, so I kind of assumed what might be in there. I said the town may allow it within their right-of-way in my setback area, and if that's the case, and that was what was approved, it's too late to fight anything regarding that. And I spoke to some of the neighbors at length, I would say at least an hour each time, who are Orthodox Jewish people, and I explained to them after reading the ordinance and doing a little research on my own that they can actually utilize the existing power and lighting and communication wire in the neighborhood if the rabbi who's overseeing this thing determines that that's acceptable. So I live in Heritage Point. To give you an idea of what I'm talking about here, I'm going to start at Sonic Burger across the street. And if I were to travel all the way down New Friendship Road to Friendship Road, I made a left turn down there and took Friendship Road to the end, and then made another left turn and went up along Church Road and zigzagged through back to Route 9 and down. That would encompass the whole development of Heritage Point and other developments that are in there, and there would be no reason to be putting poles up and erect wires. I personally looked at some of these that are in because my discipline in North Brunswick, where I worked in Middlesex County, I was the electrical subcode official there. I think I'm pretty well respected by JCP&L. They all know me, and PSE&G. I get questions. They ask for my help, ironically, sometimes. So I think I'm somewhat of an authority. I read your ordinance. You made comments about allowing utility poles to be part of this Aruv. That is not permitted. There's no utility company in New Jersey that's going to allow them to make any attachments to their property. It mentions the electrical code as a reference for this Aruv. And when I came to pick up my copy of this thing, I was informed by the land use group that it's not going to be a UCC permit that's going to get issued. So that's a little disparity there because you're referencing a UCC code that requires permits and inspections. However, you're saying it's not a UCC. So who's going to go out and inspect it? Well, I was informed that the land use people for the township would go out and do these inspections. I don't know if any have been done yet. There are a couple that are particularly hideous that I've already looked at, and they're certainly not complying with any regulations that I'm familiar with, but I'm assuming it's a catch-up game. So maybe they're going to...
Your time has ended. Thank
okay.
you.
That was 5 minutes?
Nope, time's up. Thank
That's
you.
fast. Okay,
Yep.
thank you very much.
Thank
all right?
you.
I would like to inform you and request a little
Time.
private meeting with you, if that's possible.
Thank you. Your time has ended.
Very good, thank you. I'll pay another 10,000 in taxes, I get another
Anyone else from the public who would like to come forward? Please.
Come up.
Next, sir. Ladies first.
I don't have anything written, I just put a couple of dot notes.
All right, your name and address for the record?
My name is Letitia Gomez Wright from 12 Bugle Court in Glen Arden. I'm here today just to ask about some zoning and ordinance laws that are happening in our community where private homes are becoming churches. They're becoming 501c3 nonprofit, they're not paying taxes. They're saying that they have religious headquarters in Glen Arden on their websites. There are several homes that state who they're owned by, but when you look at their known addresses aren't in Howell and Glen Arden, they're in Lakewood. Also want to address that there is some form of completion campaign happening for one of the homes to be turned into a synagogue with pews. And so far, they've raised $343,422. And so there's several streets that say religious properties, 7 Kettle Court, 9 Kettle Court, Silversmith, and Pioneer Drive, which is currently being built upon a huge home on top of another home above the garage. So I kind of wanted to know what's happening with the rentals, what's happening with the zoning laws, the ordinances, the private homes being turned into churches. And if they are becoming churches, they're definitely not giving back into the Howell schools. I have 4 children that have gone through the schools, still going through them. And if they're not paying Howell taxes, are they paying HOA fees? So that's kind of just some of my comments as to what's happening with those things happening in Glen Arden. I don't know, do I get answers? Who can I get answers from?
What's your address? Is 7 Kettle?
12 Bugle Court is my address.
No, the address that are concerns.
7 Kettle Court, 9 Kettle Court, Pioneer Drive,
Yeah,
and Silversmith.
What number Pioneer?
That I don't know. It's a corner property, you can't miss it. It has the dump, it has the signs, it has new windows, new entrances, an entire home on top of a garage.
And Silversmith?
Silversmith is also another block that's being used as a house of worship.
All right.
Timberline has one too.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
The gentleman in the back?
My name is Joe Riley, 8 Jumping Bush Way. Good evening. My wife and I and our daughter moved here from Howell Township 27 years ago. Wonderful community, we have great neighbors, love the area, and we've been very happy, but incidents that have happened over the past, about the past year, and especially the incident on White Street and the other streets that were involved, really are making us worried about what's going on, and especially with the LLCs. I know it's been mentioned before by a number of residents. There's been a number of homes in our immediate area that have been sold to LLCs and are renting. We know they're renting because the outside of the property has been looking terrible, garbage cans out front. God knows how many cars are there, different people there, it seems on a weekly basis. And it's very frustrating because what it's doing is basically lowering our property values. And we're worried. We don't want to move, but a lot of people are moving. And associated with the LLCs is the elephant in the room, the number of Orthodox families that have moved in. There have been a couple of incidents with me personally that really have gotten me thinking of what's going on. If you remember back in March, April, there was the needy clothing drive at the former site for Stop and Shop, I contacted the township. I was a response from Joe Clark, who told me that it was a Jewish organization, that there was a clothing drive for needy families, and there was a permit. And I went back to him and I said, well, you know what? There are a lot of needy families in Howell Township. Not only Orthodox Jewish people, but there's Catholics, there's Protestants, there's atheists. A lot of people that could have used some of that clothing wasn't available to us. Mentioned a few minutes ago, I also noticed the ordinance on the e-roofs. And I'm a little concerned about how they're actually going to be structured and how far they can extend, and if somebody's going to put one on my property, on my house, if they would happen to live next door or around the corner. And the third thing that really got me was the Father's Day Torah Parade. I don't understand how the township was able to give that permit on Father's Day of all days. Although the township closed or blocked the streets for only a couple of hours, it was Father's Day. And you can't tell me that that couldn't have been held off for another week. Now, people that know me know that I'll talk to anybody. I live on Jumping Bush, and it's like a cross street now for people that are coming down Starlight, walking across Jumping Bush to go to a house for either Friday night or Saturday services. If I'm standing outside, and I can tell you this has happened a number of times, I'll wave to somebody, I'll say hello, and I'm totally ignored. Totally ignored. In some instances, I'll be standing on my side, somebody be walking down the street, and they purposely cross the other side of the street just to totally bypass me. So my issue is, Howell Township is a community. We're one community. We should not be isolating people and giving people the thought that they can come into Howell Township, create their own community, insulated community, without assimilating to the rest of the township. Because if we don't assimilate with all the factions and all the ethnicities and all the religions in Howell Township, the resentment and the divisiveness is going to continue, and the future of the township, I believe, is going to be in trouble. I love the township, and I want to stay. It's getting increasingly difficult to do that. For my last words, I want to thank everybody on the council, all the professionals. It's a tough job, and I know with all the restrictions and all the Freedom of Religion Acts and the First Amendment, it's tough to do, and I know if you try to stop it, we're probably going to lose the lawsuit. Please address some of these issues with the township and let people know what's going on, because people don't know. All of a sudden they look and they say, wow, that person just moved out, somebody's in there, we don't know what's going on. So, once again, thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else from the public? Go ahead, miss.
Hello, my name is Geraldine Torrano Araceli. I live at 35 Hedgewood Road in Oakland Development. I just wanted to let you know what was going on in my development last week. We were having people coming around my development and just knocking on my neighbor's doors. I happened to have nobody knock on my door, which was good, but I was in my backyard and I seen somebody walking behind my fence. I have trees behind my property. With everything going on with the murder in Howell and now having a man in my backyard pissed me off, okay? Very mad. I was very mad, started screaming at the man.
From using
Sorry, I'm
the
sorry.
language.
I wasn't trying to do it. I'm from Staten Island. Let me just say things. Sorry. Sorry about that. So I just want to let you know that how upset I was as a woman with 4 daughters to be home alone. My husband works nights, to have somebody walk behind my property. I asked the guy, what are you doing on my property? He got an attitude problem, would not talk to me. Finally, after me screaming and yelling and screaming to get off my damn property, he said to me that he had an ordinance that he is now allowed to put wires behind my property. Let me go back about almost 8 years ago. I had an in-ground pool put in my backyard. I had to move that thing and have an architect change that around so many times, it was making our heads spin. We were almost changing our mind. We had to have everybody come in, electrical, wires, plumbing, everybody. It took 4 months for the township to approve my pool to get closed, and then they lost the paperwork, and I had to do it again. Okay? But this person's coming up, putting up wires. Now he's doing intimidation because he knew we weren't talking to him, and he told my neighbor, if you don't allow me to go on your property, behind your property, I'm gonna go back there no matter what. So he walked behind all our properties on Hedgewood to get back there to put these things up. And he's just sticking poles up on my property line. And I had called the police up. I said, what the hell's going on here? They said to me, you need to show your proof of your survey. I haven't looked at my survey in 10 years when I was doing the pool. So I had to go looking through my paperwork to find it. And the guy was on my property. So when another guy came in from the neighborhood who was on Briar Twist, he was coming in as a spokesperson for this guy. And he's like, let's all go out for coffee and some donuts, and let's all talk about what we should be doing on our properties. I could give you $2,000 to put fences up so you could have, he's like, oh, women can't go out during the week, they can't push nothing. I feel really bad. I'm paying over almost $11,000 in taxes, and I'm supposed to have somebody do this. Now, if we choose to go with the wires, which I think we're going to be doing, they're going to be putting wires against the whole perimeter of our backyards. Because I have a fence and my neighbor doesn't, they need to have permission to put a wire on my tree to have it. So, but he said, for the rest of our lives, somebody's going to be walking behind my property and everybody on Hedgewood to check and make sure those wires are done on before Fridays. So this is, I'm paying $11,000 in taxes. And now I have to have some guy walking behind my property and it's in there and looking at my backyard, my swimming pool. We got a black fence so that we could have the trees. We got deers, we got foxes, we got everything. Now I got this guy coming over there. I don't know if anybody else is going to be coming back there too. My feeling was if you guys were going to do an ordinance, you should let everybody know, hey, everybody in Hedgewood, somebody's going to be walking behind your property. Why be sneaky? That's how we felt it was. And I said it to the guy. I said, I felt like the township should have said to us, hey, Hedgewood, people are going to be coming over there. So at least we know. You know, people carry guns sometimes. Who knows if that guy would have got hurt, God forbid. You know, I'm just saying, that's my feeling on the whole thing. I just felt it was a sneaky thing to not let everybody know because they knew if everybody was going to know about it, people would have been barred in this place because they want to connect Oak Glen to Candlewood. I mean, come on. I mean, this is ridiculous. Does everybody go out on a Saturday? You can't go out without having to worry about wires all over the place? Now, when I want to go sell my house, who's going to buy my house with wires behind it? I mean, really? That's my feeling on it. I mean, maybe in your development they don't have it, but I bought my property in Howell from Old Bridge because I had neighbors behind me. I said, oh, wow, I got these trees. I got a stream behind it. They're not going to be building nothing. But now my people will walk behind it. I don't know, I should start having sodas out for everybody in case they want to come over and they get hot.
Please let the speaker finish.
So just to let you know, everybody in Oak Glen, not very happy. And like I said, we voted you guys in. I mean, at least tell us what's going on. That's my feeling, that's all I gotta say. Good night.
Anyone else from the public? You want to come up again? Can't.
No, you already,
Yeah, you already spoke.
ma'am, you already spoke. Ma'am, you already spoke.
spoken.
You
Yes,
can
you're
stay
fine.
after the meeting if you like and speak to professionals. Thank you, thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello, my name is Mary Macbeth. I live at 14 Addison Road in Howell. I've been a resident of Howell for my whole life, 60 years. I've worked in the community. I've did PTA, PTO, many things. What I see going on in Howell, I don't feel safe anymore here. I've come to a meeting last year about safety and rooming houses coming up in single-family homes that are unbelievable. And I know that zoning gets called on them. It's a constant thing, all the time. Something has to be done. I don't see police anywhere. I'm sorry, I know supposedly we got hires, you see a couple on the highway, and that's it. Before, when I grew up, police terrorized us. Like, we didn't think about doing anything bad because they saw us, whatever it was. I've asked for them to show themselves so that the criminal element or people don't think they could just disobey our laws and do what they want. They're not showing themselves. And I know I'm probably going to get a stop at my house for this, but it's the truth. I haven't seen them. Speeding and cut through on my street is awful. There's lots of people. The neighborhood has changed, but there's lots of children, you know, and my concern is also for everybody's children, not just mine. And something has to be done about it. I've asked for speed bumps. Joe Clark said, oh, the trucks today just go over them. Well, it seems to work in Farmingdale, you know, and the street is definitely cut through, and people are going 50, 60 miles an hour down the street. You can't come at a time when there's no cars and sit there with your police car and try to measure it. It has to be when the traffic is there, and something has to be done. Write warnings if you don't want to write tickets, but do something so people know that police are there. And we only have 2 speed limit signs. So maybe some people don't realize what the speed limit is on the road, but it's 25. I'm asking for more signs, you know, watch children signs, so that people realize it's not a cut-through, it's a neighborhood. I mean, we walk 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't do that anymore. I'm afraid to. In the evening, 8 o'clock, there's people outside of houses sitting on top of cars drinking. I mean, that's not what I pay my taxes for. On Spicy Pond, you know? And then they stare at you when you look at them, like you have to feel threatened. I'm not threatened, though, I could tell you. I stand my own. But it's a concern, and I'm just wondering, is there something going on with the police department that we don't have enough? We need more, or where are they? Hopefully not giving me a ticket tomorrow. But that's all I have to say, is that I wish that could be addressed. I hate that I have to come to a town meeting to address it publicly, but it's like, since the pandemic, there's no police officers around, you know? You don't see them anymore. They might be in the schools, but they used to be in the neighborhoods and know the neighborhood kids and know what's going on. I mean, I don't see that anymore. Do we not have that? Is there no need for it? Because there is a need for it. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Tina Smilik, Charles Street. I'm not going to come up here and really say what I wanted to say today. I just want to say I recognize that most of you up here are new. You didn't create this problem. You are gaining this problem. And we appreciate you listening, and it means a lot. You have a lot of decisions to make. I urge you not to make any big decisions tonight. I urge you to take your time. Your heads are probably spinning. And I just want to say thank you. All right?
Anyone else?
Good evening, Mark Tracy, 2 Castle Court. I want to say good evening to the mayor and council, and I echo what Orlando said about mayor's family. Nobody that engages in public service should feel harassed in any way. So anyone out there that's listening, cut it out. I want to thank you guys for what you're doing, but most importantly, I want to thank everybody that's here tonight. I come to a lot of public meetings, whether it's council meetings or zoning or planning, and sometimes there's only like a handful of people here, and nobody speaks.
Address the council.
So I want to, thank you, Dan. So I just want to acknowledge all the residents that are here tonight, and thank you guys for coming. I encourage you to stay engaged and come to as many meetings as possible. I understand there's some hot topics that are going on right now in town that brought you out. But if you really pay attention to what's going on in Howell, there's always issues that are going on, and public participation is very, very important. So please stay engaged. I have a couple of reactions to some things and some questions. Obviously, it was disclosed that the township manager was put on administrative leave, and that there wasn't going to be any further comment regarding that because of the potential for litigation. So my question is, if you could answer this right now, who is the acting manager at this point, as of right now?
I am.
Ms. Festino, you are?
I am.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you for letting me know that. I would be remiss if, we're looking at possible litigation now against two former managers. Brian Gagan, was let go in 2022. There's a lawsuit there, and now it sounds like there's going to be another lawsuit with the manager. I wish people would just. I wish there was a way that we could just kind of like have a separation peacefully without litigation, and I couldn't help but notice that there was a resolution on the agenda tonight regarding allegations of targeting. If anyone out there is listening to this, my appeal to them would be that can we just kind of go peacefully, you know what I mean? And let Howell heal, let our community heal, so that the council can go about doing their business and everybody just go about their own way, you know what I mean? If people got a new job, good luck with your new job. And I mean that. If Mr. Clark is listening, we've had our disagreements. That's fine. I've had some pleasant, engaging conversations with Mr. Clark. But I wish him the best, and I just hope that maybe everyone can just kind of go their own way peacefully. Another thing that I wanted to address tonight is, in light of the fact that now there's going to be a change in management here. One of the things that bothered me several years ago is that I was serving on the Shade Tree Commission, and I had been appointed to the Shade Tree Commission by Mayor Berger at the time. And for 30 years under our form of government, the mayor appointed residents to Environmental Commission, Shade Tree Commission. There was a planning board appointment, and then all of a sudden, the manager decided that he was going to have another law firm get a legal interpretation about the Faulkner Act and said, nope, we're going to do it a different way. And the manager stripped the mayor of their appointments to those committees. And the manager, who's an unelected person, was now appointing residents to these committees. I call upon this council to pass some type of local ordinance or something and restore the appointments back to the mayor. The mayor is elected. The mayor should be the person who's appointing residents to our boards and committees. It should not be done by an unelected manager. And I hope that gets done swiftly. As far as what Mr. Molino said about, maybe us examining a change of form of government, this is something that I have talked about a lot over the years. I think that we're a big town, we're growing, we should expand council to 7 seats. We should be representative throughout this entire community and look at a ward system. I think it's time that our council put that question on the ballot. You can put that question on the ballot via an ordinance. You only need 3 votes. Put the question on the ballot and let the residents decide if we want to modify our form of government. And then it's out of your hands. Let the people decide. So as far as the parade process is concerned, that was addressed. It could have been handled better. That's beyond us. I think we'll learn from that. The farming community, had a tough go with, all of the special occasion events, and everybody should be treated fairly as far as that stuff. So thank you. And good job with the housing element. I like what you guys did with the housing element and all of our affordable projects. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Betty Velez Gimbel, 97 Victory Road. Thank you, council, for your service. It's difficult to make decisions regarding a township without being given all the information. That is what I witnessed over the past 2 years. Although the township manager is not here today, the questions and concerns regarding housing lies with our code official and community developer, Matt Howard. With respect to Rubin Court, the group homes required a change of use permit, which is obtained from the construction official and Mr. Howard. I'm a bit surprised the township missed those mentioned websites regarding the places of worship. I was under the assumption code enforcement was trolling the internet as it did to our farming community during our 18-month fight. It also seemed unfair to have an event take place in Glenarden that attracted hundreds without anywhere near the numerous regulations the township manager, Joe Clark, and the code enforcement official, Matt Howard, placed on the farms, who have more than 5 acres to be given a limit of 30 people, increased later after 18 months to 50 people, in the name of health and safety. As for the township...
Please let the speaker finish. Please refrain from applause.
As for the township manager, I ask the council to hire someone who is not affiliated with a political party and someone who resides in Howell and will put Howell first. Thank you.
Anyone else? Come up, please.
John Gazzeri, 1 James Howell Court. I don't do this. I like beer and sports, family and friends. I don't speak in public. You all know the issues in Howell. I've been here for 26 years, and I think I finally decided this weekend to put my house for sale. I don't know where I'm going, but we all know the issues. Change happens. Change is good. Change is not good. Forced change is not right. You've heard the issues. There's a lot of us here that are tired of what is going on. Nobody is sticking up, from the code enforcement to the governor. They don't care because of religious reasons. It's being hidden. Something has to be done to protect the Howell resident that wants to stay here and raise a family. Thank you.
Anyone else? Not seeing anyone, I'd like to make a motion to close public comment.
Motion to close public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Responses to public comment. Mr. Howard?
Yeah, I can start. Mr. Mayor, would it be all right if I began?
Yes, sir.
Yep, thank you. Going through, trying to go point by point. The first speaker spoke about rental issues and mentioned a lack of enforcement. I just want to make clear, if you were to look at the rental code in the township's code, you would see every 6 months, going back several years, there's a new ordinance that gets put in place by the township, and that's coming from code enforcement. Code enforcement is always trying to find ways in which they can better enforce the rental aspects of what we see in the town. And so I just want to make that clear. They are always trying and continuing in their efforts to enforce what they can. There are significant limits to what a township can do with their zoning authority. We can really only look at the use of property. And if someone's using their property in a proper way, then there's nothing that the township can do. A lot of this stems from a frustration. The public comment is over. And so on that point, I just want to, that's where I'll leave there. code enforcement is here and can fill out any further. The second speaker, public comment is over.
Stop the,
Public comment is over.
it's being recorded, please.
The second speaker brought up an issue regarding, there's an interest in general about regulating against LLC ownership of properties. An LLC is a business entity, and the notion that we can stop a type of business entity from owning a rental property, it's not something that, to my mind, is feasible. I understand the concern about making a property owner keep their property up to date and making sure that the property is properly maintained. Public
No
comment is
shouting
over,
from the
excuse me.
audience.
Public comment is over.
Public comment's over, please.
Public comment is over. Public comment is over, ma'am. The third speaker, with regard to their concern about group homes. So there are state laws that have codified group homes as requiring that they be given the same zoning considerations by municipalities as you would a single-family home. So that's a state law that we have to comply with. I know in this instance, for this particular situation, the township had an application, approved the application recently because there was no issue with the app. The township told the applicant to provide proof of state approval within 60 days. So that's the status of that situation right now. Excuse me, excuse me, public comment is over, okay? We can talk about it after we can talk about it afterward if you'd like, but public comment is over, okay?
It's a commercial unit.
Please, excuse me. Public comment is over. Public comment is over. Excuse me, please, please.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
Please, sir.
Corruption. Shit.
Sir, please, let us finish getting through this.
Sorry.
Public comment is ended.
I don't know if there's any pedophiles in that house.
Excuse me.
Constantly
Sir.
rotating.
Sir,
3 weeks.
please stop.
We went out.
The opportunity for you to speak is ended.
Everyone, can we just get through this public comment? I understand we're frustrated.
If we're going to continue, we're going to have to take a break, and people are going to be asked to leave. Thank you.
With regard to the gentleman talking about paving a new street, we can talk with the township engineer and get back to you on that matter. People are raising concerns about the e-roof ordinance and a lack of communication. The e-roof ordinance was properly noticed several months ago. It was abiding by all of the notice requirements that the state provides. We had 2 meetings, one to introduce it and one to pass it, and so the process was followed properly. If there are concerns about people coming onto private property, then obviously that's a trespass. You can contact the police, and you could contact code enforcement to the extent that this person's supposed to have a permit, and if they're using that permit to come onto your property, then we can talk with the permit holder and tell them that that's not acceptable.
Please stop shouting.
Public comment is over.
Sir, sir.
That's all I have for now,
Yeah,
Mr.
that's
Mayor.
it. All right. Any other professionals have anything to say? Council members?
John.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Mr.
man.
Howard has
Just
something to say.
echoing what Mr. Glenn has said. I mean, I hear the comments, code enforcement's not strict enough, that we're not doing anything. I take those to heart. I have very hardworking staff. I have staff working nights and weekends, doing overtime, trying to find out what's really going on at some of these properties. Obviously, they look very differently, 8:30 to 4:30, and sometimes that's all we get to see, but we're out there on weekends, we're out there at nights. What everyone wants us to be able to regulate to, they really don't want us to regulate themselves to that. Let's be honest. Nobody wants anybody coming in, knocking on their door, demanding access, saying you have too many cars, you have somebody that doesn't look familiar, or somebody that doesn't look right coming into the house. So we're not regulating to that point, nor can we. We have taken the last probably 3 to 4 years, really, especially since COVID, this council's worked very hard on passing ordinances to the greatest extent that we can within the law. We are constantly talking, like Mr. Glenn had said, to code enforcement about what they're seeing in the field, what trends they're seeing, what a property might look like that might indicate there's a problem. And then our lawyers are working very hard on drafting ordinances that are legal and enforceable. It's a battle. It is not easy. It is not something that we put a banner up and say mission accomplished one day. This is something that we're going to be dealing with for a long time, and we are taking every step and effort that we can within the law to do that. So to say code enforcement's not strict enough because your pool got denied or your fence got denied or you got a violation letter, I see it all the time. Well, why am I getting a violation letter for this, but the house across the street's got 8 men in it? Well, we're not selectively enforcing our codes either. We're enforcing the entire book, and that's everything across the board from land use to code enforcement to housing. State housing code is what sets the maximum occupancy on a property. I've said it at this meeting before, and I'll say it again. 50 square feet per bedroom. Each bedroom with 50 square feet, that's one occupant. If you have a bedroom of 100 square feet, you have 2 occupants, 153, so on and so forth. A 4-bedroom home may have an occupancy of 12, 14, or 16 people. And the township cannot.
Please refrain from speaking.
Please.
So, and the outrage, I get it, it's surprising and it's frustrating to hear.
Folks, can we let him finish, please? Please.
But here's the issue, and I get it, it's frustrating to hear, it's outrageous to hear that a simple 4-bedroom home could have 14 or 16 occupants in it, but that's state housing code. If you're asking me to do anything stricter, I don't have the authority to do that. So until we have an ordinance that tells me to do that, I can't do it, and I don't think we can do an ordinance to that effect. The idea of regulating to a single family, I would like the lawyers to speak to that too, because it's not something that we can do. There's no idea of a nuclear family. What am I allowed to permit? An adult male, an adult female, and 2 to 4 kids? I can't regulate to that. Just like if your son graduates college and buys a house, and he needs 4, 5 roommates or 3 roommates to help him make rent, and they each get a bedroom, and they each pay $1,000 in rent, and there you go. Nobody wants me to regulate that, because that's the common way. But it's this.
The meeting is being recorded.
But it's the same.
Folks, can we please let Mr. Howard get through his comments?
It's the same type of enforcement that I can't do on a single-family property, and I can't do it to anybody else. So I can't be asked to define to myself what a family should be or is. If there's 8 men in a house, that does not make it illegal. 8 cars with an occupancy potentially of 10 or 12 does not make it illegal, and I know houses that are owner-occupied, and people have a lot of cars, they have kids in college, so that's not something that I can take in front of a judge and issue a violation and a summons for. We investigate every complaint that comes in, and I can tell you, we inspect every property. We are given complaints that have absolutely no basis of fact or evidence. We will still go and look at them to see if there's anything that we can gather. It's an investigation that takes place, and it's not
Please let the
something-
speaker finish.
And it's not something that we can just take a word for. There was one comment that if a concern comes in, we should inspect it every 3 months. There's privacy laws as well, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that wouldn't like their privacy disrupted in that way, because we get complaints on all types of properties. If the council decides it's a policy decision to increase inspections, and it's done by law, then so be it, and we'll adapt. We've just implemented an annual inspection process, which is supposed to cut out the illegal construction going on, because we'll be going into the property each year. That adds about 5,000 inspections probably per year to code enforcement. If we're going to increase that, then we're talking about a significant effort, but one that we'll undertake if there's an ordinance. In terms of a dumpster in a driveway, there's no ordinance to that effect. The mention of UCC permits in the E-roof ordinance is relative to if there is a circumstance that arises in which UCC permits are needed, the ordinance then requires them. Just like any other outside agency approval, they are not needed for those, but if there is a circumstance, we planned ahead and just made sure the ordinance mentioned it. House on Pioneer, concern over the height, has a valid zoning permit. It's a half-story, which is permitted by code. We are looking into other properties in terms of use. Investigations are ongoing. We have no reports on those. In terms of the Reuben Court Cooperative Sober Living House, before taking any action, I got legal guidance, and it is consistent, obviously, with Mr. Glynn's assessment that we have to treat the property as any other single-family residence. We have no permit process for the transfer and sale and occupancy of a single-family dwelling. Therefore, I have no reason to deny occupancy, nor can I without getting the town in a lot of trouble.
Sir.
With due respect, I can answer.
Miss.
There is a document on your.
Public comment is closed, ma'am.
Public comment is over.
Time for a break.
New Jersey State has given me a.
Public comment has ended. We can talk about it after.
Miss.
We can talk about it afterward.
All right, we're gonna, listen, folks.
5 minutes.
We're gonna take a 5-minute recess then.
Motion for a recess, motion for a recess. Motion for a recess, please.
Motion for recess.
recess.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Howard, you done?
Just one final thing, and I started with it and I'll end with it. I have a very extremely hardworking code enforcement staff, and they don't deserve to be ridiculed or criticized for the job they do. They do the job to the best of their ability. They don't deserve to be borderline assaulted or yelled at in the field trying to do their job. So let's keep code enforcement in mind as well. It's very hostile out there at times, and it doesn't need to be, it shouldn't be. Let them do their job, please.
Yeah, I just want to just add to that. We have wonderful code enforcement officers. They're in a tough situation, as you all know. So I do want to thank them. They're doing great work. We're going to work on probably getting more. And I just want, everyone to know that it's just a very tough position we're in. And we did hire more code enforcement. We're probably going to need more. And I just want them to know that we are very grateful for what you do.
Howell?
Mr. Howard, if you could just extrapolate on one thing also. I know we've talked about trying to have LLCs rescinded, legally. Are we running into any roadblocks when we attempt to do this?
Significant ones. So we've revoked several certificate of occupancy, the rental certificates, which is an ordinance based in Chapter 178 that this council passed.
Right.
County court threw them out. We're appealing that decision to the appellate division because we believe, obviously, it was a wrong decision and it was out of left field. We thought we think we have firm factual basis that health and safety issues are occurring, that the revocation tool will be able to bring these properties into conformance and also restrict bad landlords, bad property owners, bad property management companies from being able to use the property for up to a year after. That's what the ordinance calls for. Like I said, our first test cases that have gone to the Chancery Division have been thrown out, and it's being appealed by the township. So hopefully we get a good response, and we'll be right back to hitting that ordinance as much as possible when it's
I agree,
deserved.
and I thank you for having the fortitude to take it to the next judge, but it's very disappointing when you do all of the footwork and you have all the Ts, crossed perfectly and legally, and you get to court and the judge won't. comply with our efforts that are guided by legal guidelines. So I commend you for going, again, one more time to the court system. It's a shame that it takes us twice as long to do the right thing. And I just want everyone to understand that it's not just one department with this fight. We're actually fighting now the court system. So there's a lot of frustration to go around this room, and we certainly share in some of it with you. So wanted to be sure that people understood that Mr. Howard is really, he has set his mind to doing the right thing, has been doing the right thing. And when you don't have the legal fortitude, the legal background, and the support from, the system that's been in place that's supposed to protect the community, and our workers, it's very unfortunate, it's very distressing, and it's very aggravating. So thank you for continuing on with that fight, Mr. Howard.
If our Labor Council or our Town Council, is there anything you can share with the public as to the process we're looking at to select a new manager?
Sure. So at this point in time, we have put from the beginning, last week, a ad on the New Jersey League of Municipalities website. This is a website that's commonly viewed by people who are interested in senior executive positions in municipalities. We are looking into hiring or retaining the services of an organization, basically a recruiter that specializes in executive searches like this. There are a number of them across the state, and so we're going to get proposals. We have one already, so we'll get some other proposals there. They will review the responses that we get from our advertisement, and then they will be able to assist the council in the selection of suitable candidates for interviews, and will be able to assist with the interview process. Ultimately, it is the responsibility of the Township Council to select a township mayor. So we now have interim manager Diane Festino, and we'll go through this hiring process and have a township mayor appointed by the Township Council at its conclusion.
Thank you.
So to everyone complaining, about the rentals, this is something that I feel personally. I live in Central Howell. My kids are here. They're in the schools. 2.5 years I've been on the council, suggested a lot of ordinances, and we frequently get told by the attorneys a lot of unconstitutionality, a lot of prohibitions in state law, federal law, all sorts of oversight where it's almost as if we have so little in the local control. But we're trying everything we can, and we're going to continue looking at everything that we could do to fix this issue, because we can't allow it to happen. Transient individuals moving in and out in the middle of the night, houses next door to you, not knowing who your neighbors are, constant turnover, over-occupancy, overcrowding. Code enforcement's out there, they're doing their job, but it's too much going on. We need to be a hell of a lot more strict and really crack down on it. And it's something that we've been focusing on, and I personally really want this issue addressed sooner than later. Thank you.
Also, it's been mentioned before, it's good to see all these people here tonight. I know you have some hot-button issues, the reason why you're here. A few weeks ago, we walked out of our caucus wondering, we're back there, we don't know who's out here. And we always open the door, we look to see who's here, and we opened the door, and who was here? Nobody. The room was empty. There was nobody from the public here. So it's good to see all of you here.
All right, everyone, listen, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. And if some comments come out of my mouth that some people don't like, guess what? I'm going to say a few things tonight, okay? in reference to Mr. Howard and what Ian just said, I don't believe it's a lack of enforcement, okay? These guys are on the ground every day. It's the perception of the enforcement, okay? If the town looks like it's on fire, then it's on fire, so everyone is like, well, what is going on? So as far as Howell as a township, our township, we're 64 square miles. These issues are only going on in Howell Central and Howell South. Let's understand that. This isn't going on in other parts of the town, okay? Maybe one or two cases here and there that the code enforcement has to deal with is one thing. But let me ask everyone a question. If you were gonna get into the rental business and start an LLC, and you're gonna buy a house for $600,000 to $800,000, because that's what the average is now in our neighborhoods, okay? Wouldn't you look for the best applicant to rent that house that's gonna keep your home as a rental in good condition? Listen, let me finish, okay? I understand you guys are frustrated. Where I'm going with this is, if I was a landlord years ago, and I held my tenants accountable. What we have going on in town with a select group of LLCs or management companies is they don't care, okay? They're filling their homes up and aggravating the neighbors and upsetting the neighbors and quality of life issues, noise issues, whatever the issue is, folks, that you call code enforcement with, okay? They don't care. We have thousands of rentals in this town, and we have plenty of good rentals. Many friends of mine have rentals in this town, okay? 8, 9, 10 units, and all of their tenants are held accountable. Monthly visits, property checks, everything's great. Then we have this other group of landlords hiding under an LLC or a management company, okay, that doesn't give a shit about the Howell residents, okay?
They're blockbusting.
You want to call it blockbuster, you call it whatever you want, sir. We know what's going on, but what can we do? The law ties our hands up, okay? Fines, you only could increase them to a certain amount. Okay, can we increase them more? Well, we got to check with a judge. Everything is lawyers, everything is word salad, okay? For 6 months, I've only been here 6 months. I have never heard so many excuses in my life, okay? I want solutions, not excuses. But to get to the solutions, there's all this red tape that has to happen, okay? 3 other members up here have been here for 2.5 years, have heard all the same issues. Are we trying to address the issues? I'm sure we're trying to address the issues, but we are getting stopped here. We are frustrated, folks. We live here, okay? I live in Candlewood. Ian lives in the neighborhood. We all live here. We're not, okay? Some of us close by, central and south, where all these issues are going on. And there's a group of landlords that don't care what is going on. You could fine them until they're blue in the face. They'll empty the house out, re-rent it, do whatever they have to do to cause, more frustration on the block, and then cause people to get upset, and people can't come home without, worrying about their kids getting off the bus without being talked to by somebody or being disrespected. Listen, it's disgusting behavior. But what do we do? And that's why we have lawyers, to check what can be done. This can be done. This can't be done. Oh, can we do this? Oh, can we do that? And there's roadblocks everywhere, folks. And how do we, break through the roadblocks? I don't know. Call your assemblyman. Call your senator. Call the governor. Okay? We live in New Jersey, which is protected by, the renters have rights. We can't just go busting doors down. But how about what happens with public safety, right? What happens with the safety of our first responders? At 3 o'clock in the morning, there's a fire, and they pull up to a house that's supposed to be a 3-bedroom house, right? They get out of their trucks, they go in, and now those 3 bedrooms are cut into 4 with multiple beds, multiple dressers, bags of clothes. They go into the dining room, cut into 4, living room, cut into 4, the garage is cut into 4, full basements, okay, without permits for doing what they're doing. We have to get into the houses to enforce this kind of stuff, and it's not easy getting into some of these houses. There's blocks. Nope, you can't come in. Take us to court. Fine us. It's just one thing after another, folks. one thing after another. I wish we had an answer for you, okay? I wish there was a crystal ball to give us that solution, okay? But, like I said to you, I've been here for 6 months. It's one thing after another. Why we can't do this, why we can't do that, what can we do, what can we not do? We are trying. You know, a lot of people don't think we're trying, folks. We're trying.
What are we trying to do?
We're trying to be more creative on what we could do with enforcing certain things, but there's laws protecting the renters, laws protecting the owners.
Why didn't it happen 20 years ago? We weren't even allowed to rent our basement out to our family. We had to get a two-family house. We had to make it two-family.
Miss, we can't go backwards, all we can do is go forward.
Going backwards, because this could have been, this was never done before. Now it's done.
Well,
What changed? I want to know what changed from 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago to now. What changed?
These LLCs are weaseling through the law, just like
Why
you
is
said.
this allowed?
Mr. Mayor,
listen, sir, listen, listen, I'll answer your questions after you want to have a conversation. I'll come down there and I'll talk to every single one of you one-on-one, okay? When the meeting's over, let us get through the meeting, okay? And there's no disrespect to that, sir. I will come down there. You know how many houses I have been to in the last 6 months? Do you know how many people I have talked to in person? I've gone, how many houses I visited that there were complaints on before I called code enforcement or manager and said, can you pass this on?
We came to your meeting because your people are not helping us. That's why we are here.
I understand,
We want
sir.
an answer from you.
Sir.
We want an answer.
Your answer, all of us are answering you, sir, but we're all answering you, us and the professionals.
We get time every day. We have to get a time from you. That's why we are here.
Excuse me, sir, the mayor had said that he will come and speak with you when the meeting is done. The public comment period is done. I know that you're frustrated. Obviously, the governing body knows and shares your frustrations. In terms of the process of the meeting, the mayor has said he will speak with you when the meeting is done, so that's going to be the time for that conversation.
We don't have much time. We already went to the meetings with this.
Excuse me, sir.
With the people.
I'm very sorry. The time for your speaking is not now. The mayor has said that he will speak with you before he leaves. You will have the opportunity to have that conversation. There was a public comment period. This is in the process of the Open Public Meetings Act. This is the time for the council to speak and to act.
I just want to ask you a question.
Afterwards,
Ma'am,
Ms.
the same applies to you. No, ma'am, procedurally, you are out of order. Please, no, I'm sorry, please, wait. I'm sorry, ma'am,
Folks,
Yeah.
all right,
Excuse me.
listen, we're done
that
speaking.
is not the way this meeting
We
works.
are going to move on to consent agenda items. All right? Does anyone wish to vote on a consent agenda item separately? Well, it's the resolutions are one thing. Nothing separately on resolutions?
I'll make motion R25-182 through and including R25-200A.
Councilman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The consent resolutions pass.
All right.
There's agendas posted in the hallway.
This is just general business, folks. Okay? General stuff that's the town needs to move forward on a monthly basis or a bi-weekly basis. We're not hiding anything here, okay? I know people, that's the perception people have.
Agendas
Yeah.
are on the
The
computer.
agendas are public information for 48 hours before the meetings. Every other Friday, it gets listed on the website. You can go through the agenda, go through the resolutions, and that's why we encourage everyone to come to these meetings and speak up if you're not happy with anything, so we can address it. Okay? But normally, this room is empty. Okay? Well, listen,
Us too.
Shall I continue? Shall I continue?
continue, Diane.
Resolution R25-201, providing for the insertion of a special item of revenue in the 2025 budget of the Township of Howell National Opioid Settlement Funds.
May I have a motion to approve Resolution 25-201?
I'll motion to approve R25-201.
I'll second. Councilman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The resolution passes. R25-202, Resolution of Howell Township Council appointing special counsel to investigate allegations to unfair targeting raised by several township employees.
May I have a motion?
Motion to accept R25-202.
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher.
Yes.
Councilman Nadell.
Abstain.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager.
Before I vote on this, I just want to say one thing. This matter needs to be put behind us. We have recommendations from our Labor Council, which I will follow. With that being said, I vote yes.
Mayor Leggio.
Yes.
I think you should abstain.
Oh, am I abstaining on this?
You're supposed to.
Yes.
Oh, is it the one? I'm sorry, I abstain.
Thank you. The resolution passes.
Okay, good.
Resolution R25-203, resolution of Howell Township Council endorsing fourth round housing plan element and fair share plan.
Motion to accept R25-203.
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher.
Yes.
Councilman Nadell.
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Happily, yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager.
Yes.
Mayor Leggio.
Yes.
Thank you. The resolution passes. R25-204, authorizing the execution of a contract for services to assist in the search to fill township manager position.
Were we going to table that?
Yeah,
Yep.
make a
Yep.
motion to table it.
Yeah.
I need a second.
Second.
Motion to table. Councilwoman Fisher.
Yes.
Councilman Nadell.
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager.
Yes.
Mayor Leggio.
Yes.
Thank you. Unfinished business, public hearing, adoption of ordinances. Ordinance 25-25, an ordinance amending Chapter 188, Land Use, Article 1, Title, Purpose, Definitions, Section 4, Definitions and Rules of General Applicability of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell. The public hearing on ordinance 25-25 is now open. If anyone wishes to comment, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
I'm seeing no one. Close public comment.
I'll make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to adopt 25-25.
Motion to adopt ordinance 25.
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher.
Yes.
Councilman Nadell.
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager.
Yes.
Mayor Leggio.
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted. Ordinance 25-26, an ordinance of the Township of Howell, amending Chapter 188, Article 10, zones with modification to Sections 188-69, agricultural rural estate zones, ARE 1, ARE 3, ARE 4, and ARE 6, 188-70, residential 2, R2, and residential 3, R3, 188-71, residential 50, R50, 188-75, neighborhood commercial zone, NC, 188-77, Highway Development 1, HD1, 188-78.3, Highway Development 4, HD4, and 188-79.1, Special Economic Development Zone 1, SD1, to include emergency services as a permitted use. The public hearing on ordinance 25-26 is now open. If anyone wishes to comment on this ordinance, please come up to the podium.
Seeing no one. Close public.
Motion to close public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to introduce 25-26.
Adoption.
Adoption, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to adopt said ordinance.
Second.
Councilwoman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted. Introduction of ordinances, O25-28, an ordinance setting forth and amending, supplementing the salary ordinance schedule for the salaries of certain officers and employees of the Township of Howell.
We're going to table this.
Yeah, we're going to table
Table.
Motion?
Motion to table.
Motion. Second.
I'm sorry, who seconded it? And who motioned? Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Fisher.
Yes.
Councilman Nadell.
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Gager.
Yes.
Mayor Leggio.
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance will be tabled. Ordinance 0-25-29, an ordinance amending Chapter 7, Traffic Schedule 7, Thorough Streets, and Schedule 8, Stop Intersections of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell.
introduce ordinance 2529.
Second.
Councilman Fisher?
Yes.
Councilman Nadell?
Yes.
Councilwoman O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Leggio? Oh, excuse me, Deputy Mayor Gager?
Yes.
And Mayor Leggio?
Yes.
Thank you. The ordinance is properly introduced.
All right. Seeing we have finished official business, next regular scheduled council meeting will take place on July 15th, 2025. Executive session begins at 6. Regular session will begin at 7 p.m. And I encourage anyone that wants to keep coming back to meetings, please, pretty please, you want to be heard, then come. If you want to complain and not come, then that's on you. But please, I encourage you to get involved in what's going on in the town. All right? We're a big community, okay? We need to stick together, and what's good for one should be good for all. The rules should apply evenly across the board for everyone on everything, okay?
Mr. Mayor, also just a reminder to the public that for their July 4th fireworks, of course, we will be sponsoring them at Children Memorial. So,
That's July 2nd.
yes.
There'll be
So,
concert in the park, plus fireworks and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
so our summer programs are beginning, they're free, they're for the family. There's food trucks there and music and very, very nice event. Lots of parking, great view for all the fireworks, so please, it's free, enjoy it with your family. So come on out and have a good time in Howell.
Seeing no further business, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.